today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and just been too long since we've had our good friend back, Laurie Cardoza-Moore, founder and the president of Proclaiming Justice to the Nation. And you can go to PJTN.org is her website, and you see her show right here on the Dove Television Network. We're excited to carry that. But check it out, PJTN.org. Laurie, good to see you. How are you?
Perry, I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. I am enjoying your show. When do you sleep?
Well, I do find time to push in a couple of hours every night. So, yeah. We're hearing great responses, too, from your audience. I just had a woman call me yesterday. She just finished watching the show.
Oh, good.
So, yes, Perry, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, well, we're honored to carry it. A lot to talk to you about, short amount of time. I just wanted to get your response. As you know, the new House voted to remove the Minnesota Congresswoman Omar from the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I know that you've been after this for a long time. What do you think about that?
Yeah, with over 50,000 signatures on our petition over the last 4 years, it is a huge victory in our war against anti-Semitism. You know, she never should have been appointed, but of course the Democrats put her up there and gave her the position on the House Foreign Relations Committee. She never should have had it. This woman notoriously has a history of raising money for Hamas terrorist front groups like CARE, like the Islamic Relations Group in the United States. These people have been funding terrorist attacks against Israel and against our Jewish brethren for ages. I mean, this hasn't gone away. And the fact that she had access to important information. And what did she do with that information?
Yes.
Who was she giving that information to?
Right.
All these 4 years, there needs to be, Perry, an investigation launched into what Ilhan Omar has been doing over the last 4 years. Well, we're calling on the investigation to take place.
Well, the Foreign Affairs Committee obviously deals with some classified information. She's had access to that. So you asked the question, what has she done with that information? And she got booted for the very reason of being anti-Semitic.
Yep, that's exactly right. She has had a history of making anti-Semitic tropes, stating anti-Semitic tropes about the Jews. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. You know, it's unbelievable that it's not just against Israel. It's her hatred against America as well. When she talked about 9/11 and some people did something, really, they were Islamist terrorists, Omar.
Yeah.
But she couldn't bring herself to say that. But she travels across the country doing these fundraising events for these groups, like I said, like CARE, Hamas front groups, and nobody stops her. But it's critically important. She needs to be investigated, and that's what we're calling on Speaker McCarthy to do. Kudos for Speaker McCarthy. Kudos for Ohio Congressman Matt Miller.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, he came out of nowhere, and to push this resolution, you know, finally, we're getting people in office who understand the threat that we are facing and are willing to act on it. Of course, you know, Ilhan Omar, she's a little upset these days.
Well, yeah. But you know what, Laurie? She's not the only one. We've had other anti-Semitic statements from other members. Do you think that'll be followed up on?
Rashida Tlaib, oh, yeah, endorsing the Palestinians. I'm hoping that this is going to be the beginning of a trend that we're going to start seeing, at least in the House. The Senate, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, with this administration, we're lucky to even have been able to remove Ilhan Omar, Foreign Relations Committee. But, Perry, there has to be an investigation. Americans are fed up. You know, Israel is one of our greatest allies. There's a reason why the United States of America and Israel are so closely tied, so closely aligned. And it's because of the Judeo-Christian values. Remember, we are the two nations of the people of the book, Jews and Christians. And unfortunately, we've lost our way in America. But I'm encouraged about what I'm seeing with Congressman Miller. I'm expecting we're going to see a lot more good things to come, and to see that the speaker was willing to take this on. The speaker is listening. I mean, he had quite a challenge a couple of weeks ago, but he's hearing the constituents. He's hearing from the people of this country.
By the way, I say impressed and delighted when he prayed at the Museum of the Bible. Did you see that prayer?
I did not see that prayer. Tell me, tell me.
Well, I would encourage you. They had a prayer and repentance gathering at the Museum of the Bible. You can Google it, go online. And the person that stepped to the microphone with no notes, no nothing, right from his heart was Speaker McCarthy. And you ought to hear his prayer. It is amazing.
I will look it up.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, I want to come back to Secretary of State Blinken running around saying we've got to go back to two-state Israel. And I can't imagine Netanyahu just, I don't know what he's doing with this rhetoric. What's your take on that one?
Well, the prime minister has got some problems because he has gone back to putting a freeze on building, on construction in Judea and Samaria. And I think a lot of people are a bit concerned as to why he's going this route after the victory that he just had. And I know the pressure is on because of all the people that are showing up protesting in Israel. But, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. It's very upsetting, especially with what's happening in the Middle East with Iran. I mean, Perry, these are those times that challenge men's souls. We've heard that by, I believe it was Patrick Henry. We think that we're making progress, we're making headway, in Israel, here in the United States of America, and then somebody comes and pulls the rug out from underneath us. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is so important why we must be engaged in the process. Yeah. We have to hold our elected leaders accountable. We have to elect leaders that are going to uphold the Judeo-Christian values and precepts that our nation was founded upon. We have to stand with Israel. We have to encourage the prime minister that we as Christians in America support him in defending him to go ahead and continue building, because Judea and Samaria is the biblical heartland. Right. And I want to encourage those of you who are listening, if you haven't seen the Focus on Israel shows that are broadcasting on the Dove, I want to encourage you to tune in, because there's a lot of great historical information. We've gotten history, Perry.
Yeah, your shows are wonderful. Do you have any idea, Laurie, why Netanyahu's softening on this?
Perry, I can't figure it out. He came in with such a big victory with the religious right, and unless he's getting pressure, from some far left extremists, I can't fathom it. He came in with such a big victory, and it gave a lot of hope, not only to the Orthodox Jews in Israel, but also here in the United States and Christians around the U.S. and really around the world that are very pro-Israel. We've got a chapter in South Africa. And you would not believe the amount of support that the prime minister in Israel has through these African countries and through South Africa. So we're seeing this same, and it's biblical. These are Christians who support Israel, support the prime minister. We're excited to see that he was able to form a government, and was excited to see that he was going to start pushing these agendas that the religious have been pushing for all these years. So it's
mind-boggling to me too, Laurie, and I'm just wondering if it's just a timing thing with him, because he got reelected because people were not liking the direction of Israel. They wanted they know who they were getting when they reelected Netanyahu. They know that he's a hawk. They know that he's obviously pro-Israel. He also knows that he's not going to let Iran wave its ugly saber in the air too much longer.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just wondering if this is a timing issue, because to your point, he came in with the highest numbers he's ever had.
Yes, absolutely. So here's something to think about, Perry. And, as I think about, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, when Joshua took the Israelites and crossed the Jordan to go in and take the land, Joshua didn't get to establish the territory of all 12 tribes. He was able, before he passed, to at least establish 9 territories for 9 of the tribes. So it was incremental steps that he made. And, for me, I want it all now. I don't compromise. I'm not sacrificing, no. But the Lord, just reminded me, Israel's not going to be taken overnight. All 12 tribes, all 12 territories. They're not going to be able to take it all back in one fell swoop. It's going to be a gradual progression as it was before. Of course, when Yeshua returns and he sits on his throne in Jerusalem, then we know everything's going to be restored. But in the interim, we're working toward that progress. We're working toward that ultimate outcome, God willing. May it be soon.
Do you think, one more question on Israel and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, do you think he has the diplomacy to bring Saudi Arabia into the Abraham Accord?
Perry, I believe that there are already quiet conversations going on behind the scenes, and there have been. Even with this current U.S. administration, I do believe that the Saudis are going to come in alignment, because eventually all those nations surrounding Israel, we know the nations to the north, the Gog and Magog war, that's where we're going to see the struggles, the issues. But if you look at these other countries, I believe that there is some conversations going on, probably behind the scenes, quietly, which would be right in line with how Israel operates anyways. Because in the past, that's how they've accomplished a lot of the great challenges that they had to take on, is privately and covertly.
Because I don't know if we in the West understand the struggle between the Shiites and the Sunnis, and certainly Netanyahu does, and I think he knows how to diplomatically to manage that in the right direction.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Absolutely.
Wow. All right, let me take a break. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out Laurie's website, PJTN.org. There's a picture of the landing page, a lot going on there. And of course, you'll see her program here on the air. Her other heart passion is what's happening with curricula in school. We'll talk to her about that when we come back. Always a delight and an honor to have with us when we get her. It's been too long, but we always enjoy having her. Our good friend Laurie Cardoza-Moore, she's the founder and the president of Proclaiming Justice to the Nation. PJTN.org is her website. Check out her program here on the Dove television network. But the other side of her, she's a mom, and she's concerned about what's happening with children's education. In fact, you know what? Laurie, the other day I was watching the response to the State of the Union address by Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Governor Sanders from Arkansas. And I thought of you, because here she is, a mom, you're a mom, and you're very concerned about what your kids are being taught. And she said no to CRT in Arkansas. There is a move. Mama Bear doesn't like what's going on here. And
that's right.
And you've been a hawk on this for a long time. Give us an update.
Yeah, so as you said, Perry, we've been fighting this battle for 10 years, and unfortunately, it's not getting better. It's getting worse, because now everything that we have been, sounding the alarm on for the last decade is starting to be exposed. And the people that are pushing the agenda, they're not even hiding it anymore. Before, they were trying to hide everything. But even with, like, for example, Pearson Publishers, as we're going through the textbook reviews in states where CRT has been abolished and Common Core has been removed and it's illegal, They're still pushing this garbage. We had a similar situation in Tennessee recently with the math curriculum. It was loaded with Common Core and CRT. Well, Tennessee has already dealt with this issue. We've made it illegal. But these publishers continue to publish this material. And of course, their curriculum, their textbooks were thrown out. They won't even be accepted in Tennessee. So we see this similar movement happening. We also see the impact of this propaganda on our children, what they're doing to our children. There's now it's not just the anti-Semitic and anti-American content. It's the pornography that our children are being exposed to. It's dark, evil witchcraft. I mean, it is unbelievable what this curriculum is being used or how it's being used to indoctrinate our children. We're making our children. I mean, I had a situation with a little girl, 3 years old, even in pre-K programs. She wants to be a boy. And I was having a little conversation with her and she said, "No, I'm a boy." I said, "No, you're a princess. Look at how beautiful you are with your pigtails." But Perry, it's frustrating to see what's happening. So yes, moms like Sarah Huckabee Sanders are rising up to run for office. They are running for governor. They are running for the state legislative because these are the most important seats. These are the most important races. But the most important of all, Perry, is the school board race. And more moms and dads are running for school boards across the country. You know, everybody back in November, we heard all the complaints. Where was the red wave? Why didn't we see the red wave? Everybody was talking about it. Well, there was a red wave, but nobody was paying attention to the obvious location of where that red wave was happening. It was happening on the local level. It was happening in the school board races. We were flipping school boards. We've been working in Florida, in Tennessee, in Ohio, in Texas, in exposing what is happening on these school boards. We've had parents who've been accused of being domestic terrorists. This is still an issue. This is still happening here in the United States of America. So we're trying to, through our Taking Back America's Children Summit, we're trying to educate and activate parents and citizens. You may not have your children in the public school system. You may not even have grandchildren in the public school system. But by golly, we all pay taxes, and our money is going to fund this garbage. We need parents to take control. They need to attend their school board meetings. They need to review the textbooks and instructional materials. And like I said, we're even having this problem in Florida with accessing the books to review the books. We can't even get the teachers' editions of the textbooks. And ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking at the curriculum, you need to get the teachers' editions because that's where you're going to find how they're telling the teachers to teach CRT, to teach the Common Core. It's in the teacher's manual. But in Florida, somebody, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, somebody in Florida in the state legislature put a clause in the law that states that the teacher's edition, parents and citizens who review textbooks can't get access to the teacher's editions. Why? If there's nothing to hide, then why can't we access that? No, we only get the students' edition. We need the teacher's edition. And that's another thing that we're going to be pushing for in all of these states where we're working, is to make sure that when parents or when tax-paying citizens want to review curriculum, they must have access to the teacher's materials, to the teacher's edition of the textbook, Perry.
This may be a little bit of a rhetorical question, Laurie, but what academic redeeming factor or issue would be in any of this stuff that's being forced down our kids today? What is it with all the gender confusion? What does that have to do with academia? What does CRT have to do with academia? And all of these other things. Why all of a sudden, in the last couple of years, this is paramount, priority number one for public schools? Do you have any idea?
There's no redeeming value in it, Perry. The goal is to destroy America. It is a Marxist, communist takeover of the United States of America. And people may think that that statement is hyperbole. Oh, it's not that bad. Yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the battle of our generation. We're not going to go to a battlefield and fight this battle. The battle is being fought in the classroom, in the minds of our children. And I bet you everyone who is listening to this knows somebody who's been affected, a child, a family, several children in a family that have been affected by the indoctrination of our children, and how they are turning our children against our country. They're turning our children against our values, our Judeo-Christian values. Those values are not even reflected, again, in the curriculum. We just, it's to destroy our country, Perry. We had, when we were involved in helping to draft civic standards, our recommendations, even for the state of Florida, when we were helping to make those recommendations, we put in there that our children must learn the accurate history of America. And what we incorporated into that language was the Judeo-Christian values, the principles that our nation was founded upon. Well, we reviewed one book that's supposed to be a civics book being used in Florida, because we're in the process of reviewing civics textbooks and instructional materials. This is all based on the new standards that were adopted, and our Judeo-Christian requests, the principles, the history of our founding, and those values should be incorporated into our children's curriculum. Well, we just stumbled upon a book by Pearson Publishers, The Culprit, that teaches, it's titled U.S. History, but it starts at Reconstruction. Right there, any textbook that doesn't go back to the Mayflower, that doesn't go back to the Puritans, that starts at Reconstruction, the darkest period in American history, that's a textbook that is Common Core compliant. It should be thrown out. Governor DeSantis ran into this problem with the math textbooks that were recently adopted. They had to throw out 41% of the math textbooks because they were riddled with CRT. Well, let me tell you, they're not stopping with Florida. Governor DeSantis has his hands full, because there are people on the inside who are manipulating and changing the direction of civics. They are not putting in the Judeo-Christian values that our nation was founded upon. And that is instrumental in our children understanding the role and the destiny of America. We were established to be a Judeo-Christian nation, Jews and Christians, people of the book, because of our values. And that is what made America great. Because of those values.
One last question as it relates to this, Laurie. We have watched moms push back, which has been an unbelievable thing to see happen, and that movement is growing, as you well know. That resulted in a governorship and a lieutenant governorship and an attorney general in the state of Virginia. Yeah. I also know a lot of teachers who don't believe in any of this stuff. Yeah. But they're stuck. Yeah. I'm just wondering why there hasn't been a revolution within the teachers' union.
The teachers' union, forget about it. The NEA, they're a lost cause. But what needs to happen is the teachers in the classroom, the teachers in our community, when the teachers know that they are going to have the support of the community, when the parents and the citizens will tell our teachers, we've got your back, expose what's going on. The other problem, Perry, is a lot of these teachers now are coming out of these universities where they're being indoctrinated themselves. So when they go into the classroom and they see this garbage in a Pearson textbook and they're teaching it to the children, they think that it's normal. They think this is real, true history. Yeah. But it's the teachers that have been who've been teaching for 20 years, those are the teachers that I hear from.
Good for you.
And they are shocked and appalled at the content that they are being forced to teach their children. So they're trying to modify what they're teaching the kids so that they're not indoctrinating these children with this garbage. And there are more and more teachers who are coming to the forefront to do that. But the problem is going to be the young teachers who are fresh out of university, fresh out of college, who think that this stuff is true.
Amazing. Good to see you. You don't look too beat up.
We're out there on the front lines, Perry.
I know you are. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check it out, pjtn.org. For those watching on the Dove TV network, there's a picture of her landing page. A lot of activity going on there. She's all over the place, and she always gives us time. Thank you, Laurie. Keep up the good work. Let's stay connected more often, okay?
Absolutely, Perry. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
You too.
Good to see you.